Welcome to this guide where we will discuss about how to store solar energy. Solar panel systems have become one of the fastest growing sources of energy in the United States. According to the Solar Energy Industries Association, the use of solar panels is expected to double in size by 2023, becoming a $4.5 billion market by that time. As the cost of solar is dropping across the nation, the popularity of solar power has led to the rise of another renewable technology, which is solar battery. Solar batteries that can store extra solar power for later use. Companies like Tesla are developing batteries that can be installed with solar panels to create solar plus storage systems for your home. To know about how to store solar energy, you first need to understand how a standard home solar PV system functions. The typical solar energy system includes solar panels, an inverter, equipment to mount the panels on your roof, and a performance monitoring system that tracks electricity production. The solar panels collect energy from the sun and turn it into electricity, which is passed through the inverter and converted into a form that you can use to power your home. The vast majority of residential solar energy systems are connected to the electricity grid, or grid tied. When your panels are producing more electricity than your home needs, the excess is fed back into the power grid. Conversely, when your home needs more electricity than your solar panels are producing, you can draw power from the electric grid. So the question is, how solar energy is stored in batteries? Solar batteries work by storing energy produced by your solar panels and storing it as for later use. In some cases, solar batteries have their own inverter and offer integrated energy conversion. The higher your battery's capacity, the more solar energy it can store. When you install a solar battery as part of your solar panel system, you are able to store excess solar electricity at your home instead of sending it back to the grid. If your solar panels are producing more electricity than you need, the excess energy goes towards charging the battery. Later, when your solar panels aren't producing electricity, you can draw down the energy you stored earlier in your battery for night use. You'll only send electricity back to the grid when your battery is fully charged, and you'll only draw electricity from the grid when your battery is depleted. What this means in practical terms is that homes with solar plus storage can store excess solar power on-site for use later when the sun isn't shining. As a bonus, since solar batteries store energy at your home, they also offer short-term backup power in the event that there's a power outage in your area. Now we shall discuss about 3 clever new ways about how to store solar energy. While engineers build cheaper and more efficient solar panels to soak up more of the sun's rays, it's storage that needs a breakthrough so that solar energy can be used when the sun's not shining. Batteries, at least those we have today, just aren't cutting it. Harvard scientists said we need to find a way to store massive amounts of electrical energy. That's the single biggest obstacle to getting a large fraction of our electricity from solar power. First way to store solar energy is flow batteries. Scientists turned to fuel cells for inspiration. Fuel cells power space capsules and aircraft, capitalizing on reactions that convert the chemical energy in small organic molecules like methanol into electricity. They figured that if he could craft a fuel cell that also runs in reverse, essentially converting energy back into chemical reactants, the resulting flow battery could store solar power using inexpensive, organic fuel. Inorganic, metal ion-based flow batteries have been in use since the 1980s. These older modules were constructed as tanks filled with vanadium ions, and could be customized to deliver more hours of energy by simply increasing the amount of vanadium in a storage tank. Unfortunately, vanadium isn't cheap. Scientist team found a less expensive alternative in the form of quinones, small organic molecules that help rhubarb plants store energy. Scientists said in photosynthesis, quinones are known to recharge over and over again with high efficiency, while vanadium flow batteries cost almost 2 cents per kilowatt-hour. Scientists said that their quinone-based flow batteries may ultimately cost as little as 1/4 of a cent per kilowatt-hour. Second way to store solar energy is hydrogen. As quinone flow batteries are not the only recent advances in the struggle to store sunlight. There are lots of clever people doing lots of clever things in the battery business, says Tom Meyer, a professor of chemistry at the University of North Carolina. They announced a new way converting solar energy to hydrogen, instead of electricity. The key to their method is water. You start out with water and just break it into its elemental form, he says, then collect that hydrogen in a tank and then burn it at night. Although their team is currently working with water, he hopes to extend his project to power homes while reducing our carbon footprint. Professor Ambitious plan involves using solar energy to convert carbon dioxide into methanol, its combustive cousin. At night, a power plant would burn that methanol as fuel, converting it back into carbon dioxide, which it would capture and store for later. The next time the sun came out, the process would begin again, effectively recycling carbon, and potentially reducing harmful emissions. It's still a research project, Professor cautions. But it's knocking on the door to go to the next stage. Third way to store solar energy is salt. Other methods of storing solar power for a rainy day involve converting the sun's energy into heat, which is then captured in thermal storage tanks. Abengoa, a renewable energy firm based in Spain, has already built several solar plants that store excess energy in molten salt, which can absorb extremely high temperatures without changing state. Abengoa recently secured yet another contract to build a salt-based 110 megawatt solar storage plant in Chile, which should be able to store 17 hours of energy in reserve. Between these novel technologies for storing sunlight, will solar power eventually negate the need for fossil fuels? It's hard to imagine it going down to zero, but I foresee a future where we can use this technology to vastly cut down on fossil fuel use, he says. Among the technology options, the one that has quickly gained popularity and that still has the lowest costs, is a grid-tied photovoltaic configuration. This system consists of a set of solar panels, an inverter, or microinverters, and a combiner box that gathers all the wiring of the panels. A grid-tied system receives power in the form of direct current, DC, from solar panels. The inverter, then, transforms this power into alternating current, AC, and sends the energy into the main panel of your house. Now we shall see how to store solar energy without batteries. Batteries are the most used form of solar energy storage, but there are even other options to store electricity of your PV system. One of them is directing the electricity from your PV to water electrolyzers, which generate hydrogen gas. Hydrogen is then stored and used as feedstock for fuel cells to generate electricity when needed. This is called R&D solution and is more suited for industrial applications. Another option is to store electricity in supercapacitors, which can be later discharged to generate electricity when needed. This method is very expensive. A brilliant option is to store solar electricity in the form of potential energy of water pumped to higher elevations. When needed, this stored water potential can be converted into kinetic energy and spins turbines, which generate electricity, a combination of hydroelectricity and PV. 12. There is also an option to store solar energy in the form of heat, which is the main form of storage in concentrated solar power plants, where the heat transfer fluid passes through the receiver, where all of the heat is concentrated, absorbs thermal energy and then stores it in hot thermal tanks that are available for usage when the electricity is needed. Finally, one of the most interesting solutions to store PV electricity comes from E.ON, the German utility company. E.ON customers can freely feed the excess electricity to the E.ON Solar Cloud, which is a virtual electricity account that can be accessed at any time. You can even access the data from your mobile application to check how much stored energy is available in the cloud. The utility makes sure that the grid is balanced all the time by taking the feed-in and the consumed electricity from this cloud. This highly innovative solution is perfect for solar energy storage, as no capital nor maintenance costs are involved. The proposal was recently announced in January of 2018, so it is just a matter of time until it will be applied in other places as well. We just saw various methods about how to store solar energy. Hope you might find it useful. Thank you.